Hello, fellow travelers. I'm Jeb Brooks with greenergrass.com. Welcome to my brand new studio. It's still coming together, and I'm hoping to find new and different ways to use it in the coming months. Plenty more trip reports to come, but may add something else. If you've got ideas, leave them in the comments. But first things first, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes covering dozens of creative and even entrepreneurial skills. It's accessible anywhere, anytime. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month, and because Skillshare is sponsoring this video, you can sign up with the link in the description below and get a 2-month free trial. Okay, I just flew back-to-back with Allegiant, Frontier, and Spirit. If you haven't seen those videos, there's a link to them in the description. You should definitely check them out so you sort of get a sense of each one. They're ultra low-cost carriers here in the United States, and because I make videos here on YouTube about airlines, and I tend to fly a lot, both for work and for pleasure, I thought I'd compare these experiences and give you some thoughts about what I'm going to do next time I want to have a low-cost airline experience. If you like travel and aviation, by the way, please consider clicking that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell. I'm in the middle of planning some pretty epic, amazing videos, and I'd really love to share them with you. So I hope you'll consider doing that. Let's get back to it. The ultra low-cost business model is one that essentially allows passengers to customize their air travel experience. Only have one bag? Well, why pay for more? Don't want a boarding pass? Don't pay for it. On traditional airlines, on the other hand, you got to pay for bags whether you have them or not. On a low-cost carrier, you simply pay for the bags you have. And whether you use some airline's app for boarding or want a boarding card printed out, you're paying the same price, but not with a low-cost carrier. But let's take a look at 4 specific categories and compare these airlines in each one. Those 4 categories: first, booking and fees, seats, cruise, and then finally food. Of course, if only one of these airlines serves the route you need, that'll probably be the one you take, right? But let's just set that aside for the purpose of this video and simply discuss them as peers or competitors. Okay, first, booking. These airlines naturally seek revenue wherever they can get it, and that means during the booking process they're showing ads and upselling other services and additional products all through the process. I saw promotions for everything from rental cars to the Ritz-Carlton. In the end, I found that Frontier had the most straightforward booking process. So Frontier for the win in this category. The other airlines were just promoting too much stuff, in my opinion. Anyway, fees. Every airline charges them, and the way ultra low-cost carriers do it is just a bit different. Of course, I'm sure, that you have to pay for baggage. But let's take a closer look at some fees that I thought were mandatory until I read this comment from Kibbles and Bits. By the way, I read all the comments, even if I don't respond to each one. I really do read them all. Apparently, thanks Kibbles and Bits, it's possible to buy a Spirit ticket at the airport in order to avoid their passenger usage fee, and you save between $9 and $19. I did a little research. You can do the same thing over on Frontier in order to avoid their carrier interface charge and save about $19. You can even save around $13 if you buy an Allegiant ticket at the airport. Here's the deal. Apparently, airlines' ticket revenues are subject to federal excise taxes. So these low-cost carriers play a little accounting trick by charging, say, 93 cents for a ticket and then make up the rest by tacking on their fees. Of course, they're mandatory government taxes and fees that you just can't avoid. But you don't have to pay these additional airline charges if you know the trick. So now you do, allegedly. Apparently, you can just go to the airport and buy your ticket. But is it really that simple? I don't know. If you've done it, please let me know in the comments section if that trick really works. I'd be curious. Now, what you pay for those checked luggages or carry-on bags or other add-ons varies between these airlines, and it took a lot of research to build this apples-to-apples comparison of these costs. So take a look at them. Here it is as of the publication of this video, but they're subject to change and may vary depending on your route and schedule. So be sure to check your airline's website for the most up-to-date information, or if you want to take a look at this, just pause at this point in the video. But if you don't want to do that, let's talk about the seats. I intentionally chose the most common and basic seat I could. In each case, I selected a row toward the back to increase my chances of having one to myself. And it worked twice. With Allegiant and Frontier, I had no seatmates. Spirit, I was crammed in there pretty tight. Now, because I was making this video, I booked window seats on each flight. I wanted to get takeoff and landing footage for you. I hope you like that. Anyway, back to me. I went out of my way to sit in the most similar and basic seats I could across each flight. I was either in 30F or 29F. There are upgrades available on each of these airlines if you pay more for more pitch, width, and other improvements. There's Allegiant's Legroom Plus seats, Frontier's stretch seats, Spirit's big front seats. But if you're not willing to pay for those more luxurious experiences, if you're doing what I did with the most basic seat, I got to give the win to Allegiant. And the reason is I usually have work to do when I'm traveling, and it's pretty much impossible to get work done in a basic Frontier or Spirit seat. The tray tables, they're a joke. At least with Allegiant, the pitch was a little bit greater, and there was a normal-sized tray table, so I was able to open up a laptop or work on a notebook or whatever. Now for the cruise. First thing first, I believe that working as a flight attendant is some of the most challenging work on any airline. There's literally no doubt about it in my mind. But I would think an ultra low-cost carrier environment would be even more challenging. Now, I've literally spent hours researching these fees and the rules for each airline, and I still don't have a complete understanding. And I saw passengers who also didn't have a complete understanding taking out frustration on airline staff during these flights. So I know it's a challenging environment. But honestly, I was very impressed with the cabin crews from each of these airlines. And if I had to, and I don't think this is quite right, but if I had to give the edge to any of them from my limited exposure, it would be Spirit, because the pilot came out and made that announcement to the cabin, which I really liked. Not everybody would, but it's not fair really to give it to Spirit because it won't happen on every one of their flights, and it could happen on any of the other airlines. Therefore, when it comes to cruise, it's a draw for me. I think they're pretty much the same. As for food, again, not much difference here. In fact, the menus are really striking in their similarities. There might have been different brands on offer, but that's about personal preference. If you like Pepsi and they like Coke, whatever, I don't know. I can't really make that call for you. But I can assure you, if one airline has a bag of chips, each of them do. If one has soda, the others do as well. If one has a bourbon, you can find something similar on the other two. In the end, there's just not any significant difference among these buy onboard programs. I guess the biggest loser, though, has to be Frontier, and that's based on your comments. I was overwhelmed by the sheer number of them that video generated about tipping on airlines, and the overwhelming majority of you, it seems, including some cabin crew members, by the way, thought tipping flight attendants was just not cool. So really, based on these categories, in my opinion, these are three companies who, as far as I can tell from my own passenger experience, are trying desperately, sounds weird, to be as indistinguishable from each other as possible. I mean, if you just saw photos of each of these cabins, I don't think you could tell a difference. They're virtually identical. What am I going to do next time I'm seeking a low-cost experience here in the U.S.? And this, I think, could be pretty controversial. I hope you'll be sure to let me know how you feel about this. But first of all, I think it's important to highlight the number one rule of Fight Club. I mean, the number one rule of low-cost carrier flying. You gotta know what you're getting into. You gotta be prepared. You gotta understand the rules and the fees. And this is number one thing. Don't expect a Singapore Airlines business class or first class experience. It's just not what you're gonna get. You also gotta understand, in my opinion, what Tom Martin pointed out in his comment on the Spirit video. And ultimately, this is the real kicker for me. If you miss your flight or there's a travel disruption, which can and will happen on any airline, I mean, weather, as I said, is the great equalizer, for example, unlike mainline carriers, these airlines do not serve their destination more than once a day in many cases. And in some cases, they only serve them a couple times a week. So that means if there's some kind of a problem, weather, mechanical, crew scheduling, whatever, they'll rebook you on the next flight, but that next flight might not be for a day or two. In my travels, I prioritize timeliness and having a backup plan. So for example, I usually try to book morning flights to ensure I have a backup in the event of one of those travel disruptions that are inevitable. But you don't really have any backup on an airline that only serves a community once a day or less. So what I will do in the future is book a basic economy ticket on a mainline carrier. These tickets work in pretty much the same way as an ultra low cost ticket, allowing, for example, limited baggage and other limitations like that. But mainline airlines just have more options to get passengers to their destinations in the event of some kind of disruption. Now, it might mean I've got to make a connection in a hub city instead of flying nonstop, but I don't mind an extra flight, and I just prefer that sort of safety net. But let me know, what do you prefer? Do you want to fly one of these three airlines? Was that your choice? Would you rather go with another airline? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see. Now again, thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. I really enjoyed the Skillshare course I took about documentary filmmaking. It was Elaine McMillan Sheldon's course called How to Create a Documentary Video Portrait. I learned some great storytelling and editing techniques that I can't wait to share with you in upcoming videos. I'm working on a video right now about flight attendants that I hope I can use some of what I learned in that course in that video. I'm sure if you check out Skillshare, you're going to find courses that will improve your life and work too. So whether you want to fuel your curiosity, your creativity, or even your career, Skillshare is definitely the perfect place to keep you learning and thriving. And if you enjoy Skillshare, it's less than $10 a month after your 2-month free trial. So please sign up today using the link in my description. As always, thanks for watching. Please click that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe. If you didn't like the video, double click the thumbs down button and leave a comment with some suggestions about what I can do better. But as always, between now and the next time, see you in the studio or the sky.